You can learn more about them by going to peakrevenuelearning.com. Joining me today is Greg Ruffino from Williams & Fudge. Greg, thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights into how you'd handle different scenarios and situations that collectors often face on calls with consumers. Let's jump into our first scenario. So we've got a collector asks for a payment in full, and the consumer says they can't pay anything. What should the collector do next?
Thanks for having me, Mike. Always good to be here with you. And before we go into that answer, because I got an answer for you, because you just already said it. You said the collector is asking for payment in full, and they get the inevitable, right? Something they probably hear often, right? So before I give you the answer, rewind a touch, and that collector should not be in that situation and surprised, right? So regardless of that individual as a new hire or they're there as a tenured folk, you as an owner, a manager, a trainer should make sure that your staff has the perspective, the real world perspective on the numbers in this industry that we deal with as far as payment and non-payment. And when the consumer gets on the phone and says something along the lines of, I can't, or I won't, or I'm unsure of how to pay, the collector isn't hit with like a shock. They're not there and surprised, not knowing what to do, caught off guard, right? Now, I'm not going into the call with a negative mindset thinking everyone's going to say this, but I am ready with a game plan and a certain couple of steps I can take to walk that consumer through the next step. So with that being said, the consumer says to me, I can't pay anything. I am now not shocked, and I am ready to deploy my playbook or read off my script or read what's in my mind and my experience. And the first thing, Mike, that I want to say to that consumer is something to the effect of, thank you for letting me know. I understand. So two word sentences, thank you and I understand. Because right there in that moment, we need to recognize that this consumer has given us their position, and we need to make a decision as to whether we're going to combat that or whether we're going to try to build a rapport and try to figure out and get to the bottom of what the situation is. And if I start saying things like, that's not acceptable, collection efforts will continue, we need to do something, my client's expecting X, I am now showing them that I'm the enemy and I am the combatant, and their disposition is going to keep going down that path. Versus me saying, thank you for letting me know that today. I appreciate you telling me that. I appreciate your time. And I understand your situation. Now the door is left wide open. So that is the most critical thing you can do, is thank them for making a statement to you and being on the phone. And let's be honest, them saying I can't pay anything is not a dispute. They're just saying the pockets are empty today. Okay. And they also said anything, as in they didn't say like I can't pay ever, or I can't pay tomorrow or next week. I can't pay today. So after I thank them and after I tell them I understand their situation, I'm going to let them know that, hey, this is okay. And I want them to see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So I would then say, I only need a few minutes of your time, and I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and I'm going to see what I can do and my agency can do to give you some options, because I do want you to know that we have lots of options. And I also believe that asking for payment in full is a good thing. Your client probably wants it and expects it, and you're setting the bar high for that consumer. So I gave them maybe the shock value to them. I want you to pay this in full. I can't pay anything. Thank you for letting me know. That's okay. I understand. I just need a few minutes of your time. I'll ask you a couple of questions about what's going on, and then I can tell you about some of the different options that we can discuss. And again, sir, this doesn't have to be made a payment made today, but let's discuss what we can do in the very near future. And by doing all those things, Mike, the consumer will at least open up their minds to you and hopefully the agency that says, hey, this person is at least understanding my real world scenario, and perhaps they can give me a couple of options, and maybe I should just spend a few moments and answer a couple of questions.
Excellent job. Really comprehensive answer, Greg. Thank you so much for participating in this episode of Training Bytes and sharing your thoughts.
Make it happen.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Training Bytes. We'll be back with another one soon. Take care.